Well, hello, everybody. This is Keith with Positively Osceola, another episode of our midday kind of thing, coffee club discussion. And there is the coffee to prove that it really is that moment. Today, we have some really amazing folks that make an enormous difference in the community. And if you ask them, they probably wouldn't say it quite like that because they're also equally humble. And so really super appreciate that. These fine folks are here today. I'm going to go through real quick and hopefully don't whack out the old titles too bad. But the Brady Bunch look down below me right now is Warren Hougland from the Osceola Council on Aging. He is the Senior VP of Community Action. I think I got that one right.
You got it.
And to what looks to be my left or right, depending on how you look at it, is Tammy Douglass from Help Now. She's the Executive Director. How are you?
Very good, thank you.
And last but absolutely not least is Reverend Mary Lee Downey, the CEO of the Community Hope Center of Osceola County. I think I did it, guys.
You did.
Hey,
well done.
Great job.
I would hope so by now. I think we get to hang out a little bit, which is always an honor. So today, really quick, I know you're super busy folks. So want to get right to the discussion. And again, I thank you for being here because I think you're the perfect folks to be talking about this. And what we're talking about is the 2020 census. And so, people have different perspectives on the census and don't know what the census is sometimes. And, with everything going on, COVID-19, every discussion we've had for the last 2 months has had the words COVID-19 in it. So because it's affected all of us for sure. And I think it's also distracted probably from the community being aware of the census being taken right now and how easy it is for that to happen. So one of the points I wanted to share, or at least be discussed today, was the impact of the census, the point of the census, and what value it has to the organizations that do so much in this county. So Tammy, why don't we start off with you from Help Now? Just kind of share with us the importance of people completing the census, because it does have an impact on organizations, if you would.
Sure. From our perspective, I would say it has an impact on many levels. It's really important that each individual is counted. For us as an organization, much of our funding is dependent on population basis. And so when folks are counted in the census, it has a huge impact on formula funding and how those formulas are spread across the state and funding streams are distributed. So that's really important so that we have the available funds it takes to provide the services that we do for domestic violence survivors. And the other resources, across the nonprofit community, many of the funding streams are allocated in that way. Also, so that, for every individual, because all of the different services that our community as a whole need access to, whether it's schools or emergency resources, and all of those things are really heavily dependent on the census. And so it's really great to have this opportunity to talk today together about how important it is and to get that word out, because the three of us who are running nonprofits here certainly can see and understand that sometimes the populations of folks that we're working with don't have as much access to knowing the resources available and how important it is to take part in the census and to be counted and have themselves counted and their families. So thanks for chatting with us today, Keith, and allowing us the opportunity to chime in.
And you referenced really quickly or briefly about what your organization is and does. Could you just give us a little bit more for somebody who might not even really know what you guys are about and what you do in the community?
Absolutely. I am with Help Now of Osceola. We're the Domestic Violence Center here in Osceola County, and we work with any survivor of domestic violence, of intimate partner violence specifically, but who has abuse in their home with an intimate partner. And we have an outreach advocacy center and also a safe shelter. We provide services in the courthouse for survivors who are trying to access safety services and injunction, lots of safety planning, and actually have an outreach, a hotline support folks who can reach us 24 hours a day for support and for safety.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate you clearing that up and making it clear for people who may not know what you do at this point. But and thank you for sharing about the census. So, Reverend Mary Lee Downey, why don't you go ahead and take the helm at this point?
Sure. I think that a lot of people just don't realize how important the census is because it just feels like just a thing that the government wants us to do, right? And so they don't understand that all the ramifications of what that looks like for your community, but it is how we get what we call entitlement funds into the community. So something like the CARES Act with COVID is a great example of that. We are all three a part of a grant process for some federal funds for emergency food and shelter options. And those dollars are dependent on how many people are in the community. And so if we don't fill out the census properly, those are less emergency dollars that get placed into our community. And I think a lot of times people don't see that correlation or understand that those things kind of work together. So when we're frustrated because there's not enough resources in the community, or we're frustrated because there's not enough Section 8 housing, or we're frustrated because there's not enough things to help the people in need, that actually ties back to the census. And so if we're filling that out and we're doing that properly, then we're actually opening up more opportunities for people in our community by doing so.
And so why don't you explain to us a little bit about your organization for some people who may not know exactly what you guys do?
Sure. So I'm CEO of the Community Hope Center. We work with families who are primarily dealing with poverty, and how that presents itself in Osceola County is a lot of families living in hotels and motels along the 192 corridor, as well as families and individuals who may be experiencing homelessness in some way. And so what we're looking to do is provide resources and assistance in helping people break those barriers of poverty and homelessness. And so again, the census just gives us an opportunity to bring more of those resources into Osceola County so we can do our job well.
Well said. Thank you so much. Warren, good friend of mine, and certainly from the Osceola Council on Aging perspective, the census has no doubt got an effect on what you're able to do for the community, for sure. So why don't you go ahead and share from your perspective what the census means to your organization?
So the census is very important for all of the services that we get at the Council on Aging, from Meals on Wheels to our adult daycare to our community action services for energy assistance, rental assistance, all sorts of things. Almost every program is affected. I need to emphasize the census data is used by everybody from every aspect of anything we do, from your hospitals to your police department. All that census data is what your county looks like, how much money your residents make, how many people there are, everything. So that affects how much funding we get for police officers and firemen. Any grant process that anybody wants to write, they're pulling data from that census to give justification for why dollars in Osceola County. And in Osceola County, I think we're an underserved county because we haven't been able to show the true impact on the growth that we've had. We've had an enormous amount of growth, probably more so in our county than in most counties in the state. So it's really important that we show a collective impact. When I sit with other people that are doing community needs assessments, I know Advent Health just recently did one, and the outcomes from that needs census, huge for our county. We had the worst outcomes in regards to health measures. We had the worst outcomes when it comes to public transportation. Wraparound services for social services, we were in need the most. And unfortunately, what people don't realize is we are the least funded, the three local counties that are around us, Warren, Seminole, and Osceola County. We are always the least amount funded. So it's very important if you're listening to us and you're just, oh, this is a couple nonprofits. It's not just nonprofits. It's everybody. And if we aren't representing, if we aren't getting your numbers, then you're really kind of doing everybody damage. You need to make sure that you put your 2 cents in, whether it might seem evasive or, hey, they don't deserve to know this much about my family. Really, you really need to give up as much information as you can.
Well said. While you were speaking, it kind of it hit me. If this was a typical year, I think the issue or the point would be hard to make at some points, because I think it does come down to certain people just don't like to cooperate with these type things. With the security and safety, we're also concerned about that these days. It is safe and secure, and I think it only takes about 10 minutes to do. But in this year and the previous few years before us, we have seen huge growth in the county, like you said, Warren. But we're also seeing complex challenges that are hitting our economy, hitting our healthcare, hitting homelessness issues, violence issues. I mean, we're going through a pandemic right now. So here's the 2020 look at things while we're living it. We often hear, I'm sure you do as well, people ask us constantly, I think on a daily basis, I'm just one person. How can I help? There are so many large issues. What can I do? I'm not in a position to help. I'm not really affluent. I don't have the physical ability to help you. I can't financially make contributions. What can I do to help? Well, I think this is something everybody can do. I know it's a civic duty, but when you take a civic duty and you say, hey, look at the purpose behind this civic duty. So you have 3 organizations right now. I'm looking at 3 leaders of organizations that work tirelessly, and you're all very humble, so you might not even want to hear this, but you are extraordinarily selfless people. And I think that predominantly that's the way people really are in our community. They want to help. They want to figure out, what can I do? Again, I'm one person. We're one family. How can we help? So this is an example of just that ability that we all have. So I wanted to just invite all you guys, and I know that you are super busy. And I actually do know that you can't stay much longer at all. So I want to say thank you. If there's anything else you want to say, I know that I think, like I said earlier, there are 87 days left where people can go online to makeosceolacount.com. And there's a button right in the middle that takes you right to the 2020 census, and it's over quickly. Is there anything else that you guys would like to kick in before we close it out?
Well, I'll just have to say, I think we got an update from Reach today. I think we're at 50% of the county that has done the survey. So let me say this: if you've driven from St. Cloud to Kissimmee, that should in itself inspire you to do this survey. We get some funding to fix some of these roads and pay for some of these things, because that in itself inspires you to do that survey.
Well, and I just wanted to echo that. I wanted to thank everyone who already has completed the census, who has taken that time. I mean, 50% of our community has committed to be a part of this with us. So I'm just very grateful to each of those folks who've already made that happen. So thank you.
Well said. Tammy?
Absolutely. Really appreciative of the time, the energy, the investment of people who have already. And certainly, if anybody has some need for a way, computer access or anything else, reach out to, I think, any of us, and we can help make that happen. And we just want to help champion people taking the opportunity and filling out the census.
Thank you. And I know in the future, in the very near future, we're going to have as well, we'll have some folks from the school district of Osceola County, and certainly they would have something they want to add as well, as it really does impact education, healthcare, and housing. And so we thank all of you very much again. And so as it's rolling past, you can see, if you have not filled out your census yet, you can go to makeosceolacount.com. Button right in the middle, click it, and you're on, and you can safely and securely do your civic duty and affect some positive change in organizations like are represented right here, and so many more. So again, we thank you so much for being here, you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you for inviting us.
Just do it.
Everybody.
Again, this is Keith with Positively Osceola, along with Warren Hougland, Reverend Mary Lee Downey, and Tammy Douglass. Amazing organizations they represent. We're all saying the same thing: make Osceola count. Have a great night, you guys. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.